Player Diary. This is the fantastically spectacular episode number 8. Today I'm going to talk about the state of illegal players in travel baseball. Is it an epidemic ruining the game, or a tactic used by a few scoundrels to win at all costs? This is going to be good. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Last weekend, my son was playing in a tournament, and holy cow, was there a ruckus coming from all of the other teams in a specific age division against one other team. Rumors were running rampant about this particular team having an illegal player or two on its roster. Parents were so angry, some were actually talking about paying a private investigator to prove a kid or two was illegal. I've heard about illegal players for years, so this wasn't my first experience. I actually experienced it firsthand years before. In 1977, when I was 12 years old, I traveled to Miami to an all-star tournament at Tamiami Park. Our team was from the county just to the north of Miami, and in our county, we didn't lose a single game. As my coach dropped me off in the parking lot, I noticed a group of 16 or 18-year-olds in uniform gathering in the grass near the field we were about to play on. One of the players in full uniform and with a full mustache drove himself up in a Chevy Chevette and flipped a cigarette out the driver's window right in my direction. I looked around for our opponent, but didn't see any other teams in the immediate area, so I just figured they were on their way. It wasn't surprising, since no one in Miami is ever on time for anything. To my utter surprise, as my team warmed up in the outfield, the team that I saw when I arrived was in the opposite outfield warming up. They were throwing long toss 250 feet and catching balls behind their back. There was absolutely no way these kids were 12 years old. Some of these kids had full beards, and during the game, the kid in the Chevy Chevette hit a ball into a tree that some said was 400 feet away in center field. I don't remember the final score exactly, but let's just say we took a beating and the game was over quickly. After the game, those same players were celebrating the win in the parking lot, drinking Boone's Farm wine and smoking Cuban cigars. Now, that might be a slight exaggeration, but I'm not too far off. That was my first experience with illegal players in youth baseball. The problem is nothing new, and it's been going on for many years. When you experience this kinds of cheating for the first time, you won't forget it, and it will be something you may find yourself obsessing about for a while. I haven't forgot about it in 50 years. You can't possibly forget a 12-year-old throwing a half-smoked cigarette at you from a Chevy Chevette at Tamiami Park. Play long enough and you are going to experience alleged illegal players. But are illegal players an epidemic in travel baseball, or is it only happening on a few teams who decided it's the only way they can win? Allegedly, this past weekend, there was a 12-year-old kid playing in a 10U division of travel baseball tournament. A parent from another team told me he actually saw this particular player's Instagram post where the kid posted a video of his 12th birthday party. I asked to see the video, but that post had already been deleted. If you lose a tournament to a team who is winning by cheating, it's going to make you angry. It is going to make your players angry and the coaches angry. You are going to want to know what you can do to fix it so it doesn't happen again. This was the consensus by a host of parents this past weekend. If you think a team has an alleged illegal player, there are procedures in place to protest the game. However, this just requires the team to produce a potentially doctored copy of a birth certificate that any fourth grader can alter with a variety of online graphic programs. In my opinion, the organizations that I am a part of are trying to police illegal players and always have. They do make a valid effort to discourage it, but they could probably do more. I don't personally know for a fact who is an illegal player and who isn't. But in my experience, it doesn't happen as much as I think some people think it does. I personally don't hear a lot of people complaining about illegal players. Maybe you do. Most organizations have rules which permit a couple of players who are a year or so older to play on younger teams. These are called grade exceptions. Not sure the reasoning behind it, other than allowing a handful of teams who do it to gain an advantage over those who don't. I've heard talk for years about parents who purposely held their kids back a year in school so they could play baseball as a great exception against younger players. I have yet to hear a good reason for it, but it doesn't show that a parent has much faith in their kid to be able to compete at his own age level. But it's happening, and it's within the rules. The more years I spent in youth baseball, I often wondered what the parents' motivations were for allowing their older child to illegally play with younger children. Why would a parent purposely teach a kid to cheat? I question what else they're illegally teaching their kid. I now know it's mostly about seeking attention for themselves and their son. It's about accolades and having other players and parents talking about you and your kid. For most, it's about putting themselves in the youth baseball limelight. However, in some cases, for the very exceptional players, it can be about money. And if you come from a place where money is scarce and every single nickel counts, I get it. The need for food and a roof over your head will cause most families to overlook cheating any day. Cheating is not fair, it is not right, and you better believe it is a well thought out strategy by a few unscrupulous parents and coaches who are purposely doing it to win at a child's game at all costs. So what should happen if a team is caught cheating using illegal players? All of the organizations have rules in place if this happens. However, in my 20 plus years around the game, I can't recall one instance where a coach or a player was disciplined according to the rules. Now, I'm old and may have forgotten, but I can't remember one time. If you want to put an end to cheating, the penalties must be harsh. A slap on the wrist is not going to deter the cheaters from championships. Any player caught illegally playing in a younger division the first time should be banned from the organization for 1 year. That means as a player and as a spectator, and so should their parents. If they are caught a second time, they should be banned for life. Head coaches should suffer the same exact fate. Since it's accolades and limelight that are so important to them, any games and championships the illegal player played in should be forfeited, and all rankings and points removed from the team and the player for 1 year on the first offense and a lifetime on the second. However, none of this is going to happen until the teams and organizations who are allegedly behind this are held accountable and suffer serious repercussions. While at the park this weekend, parents started to ask what they can do about the cheating. I just listened and started to take my own mental notes without participating in the discussion. I heard some crazy talk, but the anger was palatable. It was obvious that they knew something about these players that I did not know. Some of the discussions centered around proving a team had an illegal player and putting the team and the organization on notice that they had an illegal player no matter what the birth certificate said. In the future, if this illegal player just so happens to hit a ball back at the pitcher, hits the pitcher in the head, and the team and organization knew about it, they might be held severely liable for not acting knowing there was a potential illegal player on the team. Also, if the alleged cheating team is in any way sponsored by a legitimate corporation, put the corporation on notice. No legitimate corporation wants to be associated with a team who is under suspicion of cheating or risk any potential liability this player may expose them to. Until this cheating costs the teams, organizations, or sponsors participating in the cheating a substantial verdict in a court of law, they will probably continue to do it. Another idea was to hold the parents and the coaches who intentionally bring in illegal players accountable. Name them as defendants in these same lawsuits. If parents and coaches are served with a notice to appear in court for an injury liability case, you can bet those illegal players miraculously won't show up to the next game. Okay, granted, this all seems a bit overboard for a youth baseball game, but some angry parents are voicing these solutions out loud. The real question is what can be done to prevent illegal players playing in your age division. As a first step, instead of requiring a paper or electronic birth certificate that can be easily altered, all organizations should require a valid passport as age verification. This would significantly reduce fraud. The penalty for altering a federal document is a crime. This would dissuade a significant portion of potential cheaters. As a next step, all organizations should require every player to be registered in a database, just like a driver's license. To be eligible to play, all players would be required to be age verified through federal birth records and, if legal, school records. Each player profile would have a verified designation to show he or she has been lawfully validated. Parents would be responsible for the estimated $100 a year to manage the database and to run the verification reports. $100 a year is a bargain for all of us parents buying $400 bats and gloves. If you want to play, you pay. Stop complaining. And if the leagues and organizations could find a way to add a little money for themselves on these fees, they'd be much more likely to implement this tomorrow. I don't have all the answers. Yes, I'm sure there are legal players playing in leagues as we speak. Is it a national epidemic? I don't think so. Should it be happening at all? Probably not. There are ways to limit it, but I don't think you'll ever stop it. If there's a rule in place, somebody is going to try to find a way to break it. 12-year-olds driving Chevy Chevettes and smoking cigarettes have proved that. Damn cheater. Be sure to hit the follow button on Instagram and the subscribe button on YouTube. Tell your friends and your enemies to tune in next time on Digger Diary.